Right guys, so hello and welcome to another episode on our Tribulation Soldier COMS YouTube and Facebook. And for those of you that might not know, my name is Pastor Stephen Birnie and I'm the author of the Tribulation Soldier series. And at the moment we're populating our Tribulation Soldier COMS YouTube channel and Facebook with videos. And at the moment we're running through a series of our testimony, myself and Sharon's, our family, so that those of you that watch our teachings, our sermons, can have a really good picture of who we are, where we come from, the kind of things that we've done. And as I always say in these testimony videos, guys, you know, that I'm sharing with you the things that we went through in life and who we are, but the purpose is to show you who God is, you know. And I'm hoping that through this sermon, through this particular testimony, you're going to see a night and day, such a contrast between two very, very different worlds, which was Sharon and I's life before God and now our lives after God. But as always, guys, you know, we are YouTubers, so please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit notifications. We've also got our Birnie Family channel. I do motorbike vlogs and Scottish castle tours and DIY and all sorts of stuff. And the kids have actually got 3 YouTube channels for kids. Their own Birnie Family Fun. They've got their shorty shorts and their gaming. So they've got quite a lot going on in that. Yeah, so here we go. And again, guys, I just want to drop in those little seeds as we go along, you know. And sometimes it's just from things that are mentioned to you during the week or, you know, whatever. But you know, someone said to me, you know, that, you know, the Christian life must be so full of restrictions and, you know, there's not a lot of freedom and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. You know something, guys? The opposite is true. You know, the Christian life is there to be set free. To be set free from the ways of the world, the ways of things and all that sort of stuff, you know. So you can live your life in great freedom to enjoy whatever path you might take, you know, your career, you know, having kids, getting together, getting married, all these different great things in life. And I think for many of us, you know, that for me, the thought of actually settling down and having children was just going to be this tie down, you know, way back, you know. But as I said in previous, you know, I'd really gotten sick of the whole nightclubbing style and going out to pubs and playing pool and just all that stuff was really just wasn't doing it for me anymore. You know, I was really unhappy. And this is when I met Sharon, my wife that I'm obviously with. And we met in college. I think college was probably the one good decision I think I made back then, compared to everything else that we did, you know. But I saw her one day and she was just beautiful. I mean, she was, you know. And of course, Sharon's a bit of an Amazon. She's tall and she's blonde. You know, she's just that way about her. And I think she might have been in a similar position, but in a different way. She had moved back up to this area because her and her husband had split up. And it was a very short marriage, guys, like 2 years. And they had a kiddie during that time. And I think, you know, at that point in time, you know, Sharon had a real difficult past. I really want to share that with you later with Sharon, you know. And I'd just been coming out of this whole nightclubbing thing, and I think the two broken people just collided, and that was it. We really thought we'd found each other. And I think within 3 months, the double check with Sharon was like 3 months, I think, we'd moved in together. I'd moved into her apartment. And I can always remember saying to my mum, you know, that I know this is a mistake, Mum. I know it's a mistake, but this is something I've just got to do. There was just something in it all, you know. Although I was making wrong decisions and so on, there was just something in it with Sharon, and I wanted to sort of follow that path. So of course, you know, guys, when you first move in and stuff like it's all exciting, and you know, we redecorated the flat. We're going to the same college, so that was really handy. I was working, I think, 2 jobs at that time. I think I had 2 jobs during, you know, so and of course I was in the British Army Reserves at the same time as well, so pretty busy stuff. But we moved in together, and you know, as always, guys, it's great, you know, to begin with. It's all new, it's all a bit of a novelty, and you know, it just seemed, you know, and I thought at the time, I thought, right, I've really sort of found my way here. And then we had a particular incident when I think the last girl I'd slept with, came out and said that she was pregnant and it was going to be mine, you know. And I just couldn't believe it. You know, I'd managed to get out of that life without any sexually transmitted diseases or getting anyone pregnant or anything like that. And I really thought we were away. And Sharon, strangely enough, was very good with that, you know. She says, we'll just have to take as it comes, you know. I've got my past, you've got yours. and we'll just have to wait and see it comes. And I had to wait, I think it was about 3 months before one of my mates actually saw this young lady, and he phoned me and he says, she's not pregnant. I says, how do you know that? She says, I've just seen her, she's not pregnant. So, you know, over that time scale, she would have been shown. And I think after that, it was just such a relief. You know, I really thought I'd messed my life up. You know, this girl, I'm sure she's different now, or maybe I just saw her the way I did, but she wasn't a very nice critter at all, you know. But just the thought of being tangled up with her for the rest of my life would have just been like, oh no, no way. But we passed that stage, and that was really good. And again, get back to the crack, the crack to the, you know, the excitement, the joy. Yeah, so like I said, you know, the reason I knew Sharon was because she was in a motorcycle club, an MC, one of those back batch clubs up in our area. So that was how we kind of got to know each other, you know. And then starting to spend time with her, I mean, I think we thought we fell in love very quickly. You know, I think that's what you think, don't you? But having sort of felt as though we'd dodged that bullet when it came to that pregnancy scare, I wasn't ready for what was about to come, which was the ex-husband being on the scene, who was most definitely not happy about the breakup that they had. It was not mutual. You know, he wanted her back, and they obviously had a son together who was in the apartment as well. And basically at that point, you know, me and this guy really hated each other. I mean, absolutely big style. I mean, we were nose to nose. There's so many times at the time I just wanted to knock him out, you know. And I would have done, but I know that wasn't really the best thing for Jamie, you know, the Sharon's son. That wouldn't be a good thing. But it was just constant problems, you know, solicitors' letters and arguments and visitation and all these sort of things. And members of my family had been so used to me coming back with these young hotties, you know, and no ties. They expected me to kind of go that way. But here I was in the midst of this absolute nightmare disaster of their relationship, which was really affecting ours. It was really quite bad. So this kind of went on, you know, and it does take a toll on your relationship. There's no question about it. And I remember thinking at the time, you know, that I love this woman, you know, I'm going to be with her, but I'm never going to have that first time child and all those things that, you know, without all the restrictions of ex-husbands and stepsons and all that sort of stuff. And then there was almost, I think, the first nail in the coffin for me and Sharon, and this was like a 4-year period before we came to God. Was we took a holiday, my very first abroad holiday. I've never been abroad since on a plane, believe it or not, but it was to a place called Gran Canaria in the Canary Islands. And we went there for 3 weeks altogether. And I think in that time, you know, it'd always been college, I'd been in the Army Reserves, I had 2 jobs I had to work. We hadn't really spent that much time together. But when we went away, boy, you could see the huge holes in our relationship. I mean, you really, really could. It was not good. And we split up. I went home to the house, and you know, that was, I think we were both still sort of holding on to each other a little bit, but we'd split up and I was away home. And in that time, believe it or not, you know, Sharon's not proud of this, but there's many things we're not proud of. She slept with another guy. And you know, it was just a few days after we split up, you know, and I think I took that the hardest of any relationship problem I'd ever had, you know. I'd been dumped before by girls that I really thought I loved, and it was terrible, and I'd drink for days on end and stuff like that. But when Sharon had done it, I just couldn't eat. I just couldn't eat, and I was drinking all the time, and it was just really, really bad. And then we actually got back together when she actually admitted what had happened. I was talking to her one day, and I said, "What has actually happened? I don't understand why you're kind of here wanting this to work." And that's when she shared about this guy. So now there was that permanent problem in our relationship that wasn't really going to go away. I was hugely just, it was so upsetting within, and it basically made me very, very unhappy. You know, this wasn't anything like I thought it was going to be, you know. I thought it'd be all great and exciting and doing stuff and all this, but instead it was stepsons, ex-husbands, sleeping with someone else, you know, Sharon being that broken person, just absolutely not giving me anything of what I needed, and I couldn't give her what she needed. You know, it was just a disaster. So I'd moved back in for a time, and then moved back out, and I'd said to, you know, we need to live apart, you know, to make it all happen. And I thought this was a really good decision. And I moved in with a mate, and we had this flat, And believe it or not, in our little circle of area, there was like between 15 and 18 friends, I think, that all lived really, really close. And we all hung about together. And all of a sudden, I was back into this new social circle. With a lot of people I knew anyway, but it was back to partying, and drinking and all that sort of stuff, and it was really good. And Sharon had a major problem with this. She could see how enjoyable we were having it and all sorts of stuff. And of course, her being broken and insecure, she made really big waves in our relationship. And she really pressured me to come back from that and to come back to the flat. So of course, as time went on, guys, what happens with these things in life is they all mount up. Ex-husband, sleeping with someone else, this kid. I wasn't an angel either, guys. Goodness me, you know what I mean. But I couldn't let any of this stuff go, neither could she. And our relationship got darker and darker and darker. And you always do things to think that can make the relationship move forward. And I ended up buying this place. But because Sharon had slept with someone else, I wasn't really keen on her being on the documents for the house, so I bought this place myself. And again, you're back to it. It's exciting. You've got this new house. It was good. It was really, really good. And I'd been promoted at work, and Sharon was moved into another job, and it just seemed like everything was sort of coming together. But none of that stuff had gone. It was just festering in the background, just putting poison into our family life. And then it really came to the point, I think, where Sharon had actually had enough. And I remember her leaving, and I remember her just not wanting the house, not wanting anything. She just wanted to leave, And of course, that's not her now, but that was her makeup back then. It was, things get too tough, I'm out of here. And that's the truth, that's what it was like. And she moved in to a place of her own, and I really took this hard. Again, I just tried so many times in life to get it right, to make decisions that benefited the future. And all that seemed to keep happening was things going wrong, And I think at that point, I'd had enough of her and the whole situation and everything. I loved her and I wanted her back, but I just had enough, and I felt probably the most empty that I've ever felt was just then, So of course, mates are always good round about you and stuff like that, but, we'd been together for 4 years, and it was a long time, especially living together, and all the different things we'd been through and some of the challenges we'd overcome and that, so it was very, very difficult. And I remember just not being able to eat, and I was drinking all the time. I mean, every day, just drinking, just because I really couldn't take what was happening. And I'll go on to other parts of this testimony another time, but basically, I didn't know, but Sharon was actually in church with my mum, believe it or not. And Sharon actually got saved. She gave her life to Jesus in that place. And I think at that point, I didn't even know that was happening. And that's when I really contemplated suicide. I was really going to commit suicide, I thought, at that time. But I felt a pull from God. I didn't realise it was him, but it was a pull from God. And before long, I was back with God. Before long, I was back with Sharon. And now, here we were, two saved people, two people that had now given their lives to Jesus, and were being very, very different to the way things were before. And what happened with us was, and again, I'll just be brief, we actually started dating again. I lived here. Sharon lived, in an apartment. We actually started dating again. It was just so strange. It was just the strangest thing, but it was so good. You felt like you were doing things right, Yeah, as Christians, we don't do the old sex before marriage thing and all that, and I would teach on that another time, but we'd been like a married couple for 4 years, so we fell a couple of times, we just, the things just went a little bit too far, and off you go, but God, really understood that, but that's what we were living like. And then we got married, which was just tremendous. And we went away on a honeymoon, and I can remember thinking, went away down this beautiful big loch. It was a little house on the edge of a big lake. And I remember Sharon falling asleep across from me. And I was sitting with a beer. I still hadn't really stopped drinking at that point. And the fire was on. And I remember looking across at it and just thinking that I am in a different world. I can't take in that this is happening. How did we go from all that 9 months ago to this? Here we were. It was just unbelievable. And of course, at the time in the church, you look at it, the people around you, and they just thought, this couple, goodness me, this is just amazing. And then it was, you know, I still can't quite get how we transitioned from there to there. We still had some of the same problems, obviously, but that is what it's all about. When God comes into your life, he starts getting involved in these problems. And then again, you see that contrast from the way that you tried to do it before to God's ways this time. We built a tremendous relationship. And even with our son, and I'll share all about Jamie another time. He's 28 now, goodness me, he's got his own life and all that sort of stuff. But I didn't have that great of feelings towards him. Still had hate for our ex-husband and all those sort of things, so we still had a lot of issues to work through. I had a lot of personal stuff to work through. She had a mountain of stuff to work through as well, from abuse in her past, and we'll share about that another time, obviously. But God took each and every situation, each and every line, each and every piece of the tapestry and changed it. And probably the most extreme of that, probably up in the highest level of that, was me and Sharon's ex-husband becoming friends. He just, knows to know. I just want to knock him out. He wasn't a big tough guy or anything, but I just want to knock him out. And he ended up coming to the Lord. And I don't want to put this across as some great big awkward thing or whatever, and this unhealthy him coming around for meals, and it was nothing like that. He gave his life to God, and he started coming to the same church that we were in. So here we are, with me and Sharon at the front and him in the same room. Me and him actually started getting on really, really well. We started becoming good friends. We didn't socialise together, but we became good friends. And he actually developed a very large brain tumour. And during that time of him being sick and ill and stuff like that, I'd be up there because obviously I'm a bit practical, putting up curtain rails and fixing bits in the house and all these sorts of things. And again, I was in the position of just thinking, I can't understand how we went from that to this. Things have just changed so much. So as in the first, year or 18 months of being a Christian, God really works a lot of stuff out in your life, and it's not really as a couple anymore. He's got to take you as individuals and deal with my issues and deal with Sharon's issues. And in one way, we had our two little lives with God. I'd been a Christian since I was 9 years old, fell away from God. I'd got involved in alcohol, the occult, drugs, womanising, fast cars, all the stuff that sort of goes along with that. And I had a lot of issues I needed to work out, and that's what God was there for. And obviously there comes an end to that too. He went ripped through all that stuff to make my life so much better. And again with Sharon, did all the sort of work on her. And as the two sort of went forward, we got closer and closer and closer to the point we had an amazing marriage. We really did. And we've had a tough time since, goodness me, guys. I went through 4 years of being ill with ulcerative colitis, got a colostomy bag now and all that stuff. That was a big one. More recently, I had a surgery mistake and I was on a breathing machine for 5 days, a month in hospital. So we've went through our tough times, and there has been, but it's nothing compared to what we used to have. This is just night and day we're talking about. And hopefully, especially when it comes to, our Birnie Family YouTube and stuff like that, hopefully you see just the new us. But that was the old us, The old us, I would have, compared to today, I would have easily went to work, come home, I had my supper and cracked open a beer, or go to the pub, but do very little, do nothing with Jamie, Sharon's son, absolutely nothing. That's who I was. I was either out in the car, out in the pub, or just sitting watching TV. I had no interest in canoeing or any of these sort of things. I just wanted to drink and drink and drink. But then God, through all the things that you've been through in your life, really bring these things back up. And what he does is, I think the best way to explain it is when he's done, like he basically is now with us, is that you actually appreciate and you actually love what you would describe as the simple things. You know, before you get career and doing all those sort of different things, you know, but actually being married and enjoying it, having children and enjoying it. All these stereotypes do not apply to God. You can have a wonderful home, a wonderful family. There's times, you know, especially early on when I drive up and park the car outside and I look at the house and I couldn't wait to get back in, just to be in that family, just to be part of what we had now. And of course now times are very different. You know, we spent from 2002 to 2009 not being able to have kids, you know, trying. And then Emily came along and David came along. Sorry about the dates there. Emily came along in 2012. But during that whole period, guys, we never used any protection or anything, and we just couldn't have kids. God promised that we would, and we had Emily, and then very soon after David, and our lives changed again. I do sit here and I wish I could just bottle this all up for you and give you a drink, you know, and just to see the difference. It's not like, oh, look at us. It's look at us now compared to then. Me and Sharon still argue from time to time. David and Emily do need to be kept in line from time to time. It's all fairly normal, but it's way different to what we had. And as I always say, and I suppose this message would be, you know, towards you guys that are maybe in relationships like that our situation was very complex, which is true of many of you listening to my voice just now. Very, very complex. I think, you know, when it comes to God, when he does healings and all these great things that he does, that they're actually quite straightforward. But for those complex situations where God can't break your free will, he's just got to bend it here and there to make things sort of come together. I think that is truly the miracle that God can actually make happen. All those people, all those different problems, all those different issues, it's just such a mess. It's such a mess, and I'll look at it now. And before I started this sermon, guys, I was like, I really don't want to look back on this. But it was such a mess. But God pulled that and blew that apart to give us the life that we've got now. And I just want you guys to have the same. I mean, I really do. I just wish that I could. You're always wanting to convince, you know, you're just always wanting to convince that God can do anything. He can make anything happen. It doesn't matter what situation you're in, what you've done. Hopefully you've heard through testimonies so far of the things that I've done and he forgives for. This is the true God, you guys. Yeah, listen, thank you so much for watching. And again, we've still got the testimony series running up till about Christmas time, just 2022 just now. And I'll be sharing a little bit about our backgrounds, pastors and so on. Hopefully those stories will be really interesting. I always think they are. But it's really important for me this year. I just want to get these sermons in. I want to get these in so that you guys can know who we are. But for now, thank you again, guys. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit notifications. And as always, I'm always here. God bless you.